I want to talk about an idea that's kind of going through my head recently, and it's actually something I picked up listening to my good friend. His name's Quasi, and he's basically just a subliminal reprogramming consultant. I've been friends with him for a long time, seen his business get to, a couple $100,000 a month, and learned a lot watching him and helping him here and there, and he's helped me back. He's just a great guy, and I recommend his content. Links in the description for his YouTube channel. It's really good stuff. A lot of our mental reprogramming training in the Consulting Blueprint and Scaling Blueprint programs respectively is in part inspired by him, and of course a lot of other people's work, like Carl Jung and some of his teachings. But anyway, the idea is that desiring something so deeply, like say, $1 million in the bank. Let's say that's your desire. If you have an intense, deep desire for something, it'll actually separate it in your head from being something that you deserve, and it will actually create this gap between where you are and where you want to get that you'll never be able to fill as long as the desire is there. Another way of putting it is, a lot of people prefer to fantasize about where they'd like to be as opposed to putting in the work and just getting there. And unfortunately, a lot of people are like this, and you might be like it too. And I think I've found myself like this a lot of the time, where I literally prefer to desire the goals instead of actually getting them. And it's a weird realization. It takes a lot of digging deep, but I think a lot of people will hear the truth in this when I'm saying it. Like, I'll give you an example. For the first year of my journey, instead of actually putting in the work and making good money and growing my business, I just spent most of my time, if I'm honest with myself, just idolizing other people that were putting in the work and were growing their businesses. And I just idolized it like crazy. I saw other people doing it, and I would get envious, and I would get in my own head and get desperate, and that desire would build further in my head for these things that I want. And because there was so much desire, what are you kind of subconsciously saying to yourself when you desire something? Well, you're saying, I don't deserve it. When you say I want something, you're not saying I want something. Really, you're saying I don't deserve that thing. You're saying something along the lines of, oh, I want, instead of, well, I could just get it. It's not an identity. It's not something that you see as fully ingrained into your character yet. And so desire can create that gap. So I would encourage you, no matter what stage you're at in your business or in your career, to take the next steps that you currently have in your head as these big goals that you have in your head. Take them off the pedestal. Bring them down to reality, and understand that the things that you want aren't actually that big of a deal, and that the things that this world has to offer are quite easily accessible. Maybe you idolize me in my content. I get messages all the time from people. It's crazy. We've got a cult following, of a couple thousand people that just eat up every piece of content I put out and message me, these intimately personal realizations they're having about their lives and their businesses, and people that haven't even invested into our programs and that are doing well with the content, which I love seeing that. It's really, really neat to me. And I get it all the time. People idolize me, or they idolize other influencers, and the problem with that is you're creating a gap in your own mind that you can't really fill because there's desire there. So I would encourage you, let go of the desire for things. Let go of ever needing them. Let go of needing the validation of achieving them. Let go of what it means to you to do the thing, and then just make it a mathematical equation. For example, not that I'm a relationship coach by any means, but I do have a really good relationship, and I'm engaged to this girl. We're going to be getting married in September of 2022. If you desire a good relationship, the weirdest advice I can give you is stop desiring it so deeply. Stop making your life all about it. Because then when you make your life all about that relationship, or let's say all about the $1 million in the bank, you become so sensitive to getting that thing that you actually lose your given creative intuition. And humans, we have this incredible gift, and I believe it's bestowed on us by our Creator, that if we just decide what we want and then relax, it's just going to come to us. And I believe that is, what psychologists will call intuition. It's just a natural response to saying, you know what, I'm going to get that thing. And then, in your own head, feeling completely worthy of that thing and having no question that you could do it. It's just a natural byproduct of your actions. And then going and then just doing it. And if you see the process as having to have resistance, as supposing to have resistance, say you're on a sales call and you desire so desperately to make this sale. We've coached a lot of our clients through this. Some of the best sales advice, and you don't have to pay me a dime for this, honestly. Some of the best sales advice I can give you is take care of your personal needs and know that they're met and don't need the sale. Like, I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people, but if it means picking up a side gig, if it means, working in another company and taking home $3-4 grand a month while you do this on the side, whatever it is, make sure your needs are met so that you don't need anything. Need and desperation are the killers of progress because, again, like I said, they destroy your intuition. And then you'll be on that sales call and you'll be digging so deep into that conversation that it's going to be next to impossible for you to actually make the close because you need that money. You need the sale. You need them. And the prospect will sense that. You'll sense it. You'll feel desperate. You'll feel lower. You'll feel almost animal-like in your need. And, one of my mentors, his name's Rabbi Daniel Lapin, he talks about there's really only two ways that you can see yourself. You can see yourself as an animal, or you can see yourself as a spiritual being. And spiritual beings don't have needs. We are created above the world around us. We are higher than the animal kingdom, right? We don't poop on the floor. We don't, just eat whatever's hanging off the nearest tree. We build systems and architecture, and we build cities and businesses and families, and we have a higher level of awareness. When you're an animal, animals are desperate. You ever notice a dog, even when he is well-fed and he's got a family that, makes sure his belly's stuffed every single day, he will still go for that last piece of meat. I don't think I've ever seen a dog, unless it's been beaten out of him over like 6 years of consistent training, turn down a slice of steak. It doesn't care about whether it's cooked or not. It doesn't care the seasoning. It has a base primal need that it will never grow beyond because it's not a spiritual being. It can't have the level of self-awareness that we can have as humans. And so I think you need to let go of those animalistic natures and say, all right, I'm no longer an animal. I'm a human being. I'm a spiritual being in a physical body. And this is, again, where my faith and my worldview, being a Christian has really helped me. It's because I've found that I can truly let go of needing anything. And even right now, I'm not going to dig too deep into what I'm going through because I don't think you guys necessarily need to hear about that in order for me to drive my point home. But I can say that recently I've been faced with more challenge and opposition, particularly in my business career, than I have been faced with probably ever. And the only way past this resistance is to just let the resistance happen, and is to just accept that it's just a result of my actions, and I don't need it to go any certain way. I don't need it to go well. If it doesn't go well, I'll be fine. I've still got, my wonderful, loving fiance. I've got a great family. My business is a cash machine. It's whatever, I'm fine. I've got all the soft skills. And so when I can just relax, literally this morning I decided, you know what? I'm done stressing about these things. I'm just going to relax. And honestly, I've gotten this message before from people who watch my content. They're like, Trey, this is almost like you talking to yourself. And 100% it is. Because the reality is, all of the content I put out is lessons that I'm actively learning. I don't put out anything that is just half-hearted. I only put out content that I watch my own content. I hope that doesn't sound narcissistic, but I watch it. It's like a journal for me. It's like a documentative process of what I'm learning. And it's so cool that I can just post this out there on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever, and people sympathize with it and they can learn and grow alongside me. So anyway, I hope this makes sense. If you can let go of desire and you can let go of needing something, needing it to go perfectly, needing the money to come in, needing the results of your actions to happen sooner, you'll find that pretty quickly the game completely changes. It changes from this desperate cycle of like needing every day to be perfect, needing every action you do to be perfect, needing the week to bring in a certain amount of revenue, to enjoying the game and enjoying the process. I think we have to accept that at a base level, we have no needs. Like, this is where, again, my faith comes into play. You know, there's this idea of like fasting in scripture. It's like fasting from food and returning to your spiritual needs. A need for being in touch with your creator, a need for being in line with your calling, denying the fleshly desires, denying sexual desires, biological desires like food, warmth, you know, just going out. There's all kinds of examples of, you know, Christ himself going out into the desert and just denying his body for months on end, starving, sweating, you know, and I just think that that's an incredible thing. So anyway, I hope this point's driven home. It's hard to kind of wrap it up in a bow, but I think this is still a valuable little piece of content. This is the best advice I can give you, honestly. Is just let go and let the things happen as they're supposed to happen. Don't force anything into being. Be content where you are now and excited about the future and working towards the future, but not needing anything. And you'll find that your intuition can kick in at a much better rate with more effectiveness and more certainty than when you were in desperate need of something to happen, whether it's a relationship or a business growth thing or making the right hire at the right time or a certain client pulling through or whatever. Just letting go of your needs. And I think that's what this season is teaching me, because, you know, a lot of my security is being challenged. And, you know, that word itself, like, I don't need security. No matter what I do, I will always be secure. And to really accept that, I think, allows you to be in a state of abundance. And then because you're in that state of abundance, because you now realize that there's opportunity everywhere, infinitely in every direction, then all of a sudden it becomes much easier to do the things that you say that you want to do. And instead of idolizing your goals, instead of them being on this pedestal, and you secretly, without even having admitted it to yourself and maybe not even realizing yourself, secretly more enjoying the idolization of your goals than you enjoy the achievement of your goals. And that was me for the longest time, man. I cannot tell you how much that rings true for me. So I'd encourage you, take your goals off a pedestal. Take me off a pedestal. Take these influence off a pedestal. Stop seeing them as like these like demigods. Like, that's literally, I had them like on my vision board and I like watch their content every day, and it's like, it's funny because like it could hurt my business model, me telling you this, like, you know, making myself the attractive character and making myself the hero and like all this stuff. Like, I don't care. Like, I want to give you actual advice that has helped me, and I think that's one of the big things that has helped me. So anyway, have a great one. Get back to growing your business.